These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Friday, June 9th, right after Game 3 of the NBA Finals. But this is How About Them Celtics. So we're going to talk Celtics first. If you're here and you do want to listen to NBA stuff, which some of our commenters do and we appreciate, jump ahead. You can see the timestamps in the description. We will talk about Game 4 of the NBA Finals. But first, there has been some Celtics news as of late, starting with my guy, we all know, Grant Williams. Had surgery. Grant Williams had successful surgery on his left hand on Friday, and he's expected to have a full recovery for the start of NBA training camp in the fall, as was announced by the team. The Celtics announced it should be 6 to 8 weeks before he returns to basketball activities. But this could explain some of him not playing later in the season, although I do question that considering the story came out that Tatum and Brown had to ask for more minutes for him. So it's a little bit weird, but the surgery, and this is a report from Woj I'm reading, the surgery to repair a torn ligament comes after Williams hurt the hand in March. Grant decided to continue playing with the injury through the Celtics run to the ECF. He's expected to make a full return to basketball activities in 6 to 8 weeks. According to the team, Williams is a free agent, so Boston has the ability to match any offer sheet he signs. He's been a 45% three-point shooter since arriving as a rookie. That's just false, right? He hasn't been a 45% three-point shooter. Am I crazy?
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, Woj, what are we doing, Woj? Are we spreading false information? He's a 40% shooter from the field, a 38% three-point shooter. A little misinformation from Woj there. We'll call him
a little bit. Is it effective field goal percentage? That's the only thing I can think of.
No, his field goal percentage is 45%. Like his overall shooting percentage instead of joining the Celtics.
Okay.
Is 45%. And then he talked about his stats, but the point is he had surgery to repair a torn ligament in his left hand. He'll be back in 6 to 8 weeks. But I mean, I'm pretty sure he put something on his Instagram saying Batman will return or something, or some funny joke. So Grant will be fine, but he did have surgery. So that's some news.
I feel like the way that this has all been handled with the Celtics tweeting it out, not that they really have any choice, but the way it has been played where he's saying he'll be back, the 6 to 8 week timeline, the training camp timeline, it makes me believe that they're kind of like handshake agreement deal to bring him back. Yeah.
Good for me.
It might be a telltale sign that both sides are. I mean, if you're a free agent, are you really about to get a surgery? Not that a left wrist non-shooting hand surgery is a massive thing, but are you really going to get a surgery right before you are eligible to make some money?
I think if you need it, and I think it's better to get it now than get it I agree with you that I think he'll probably resign based on all the signs, but like in theory, would he rather enter free agency with an injury and then get it to where he wouldn't be able to be back for the start of the season for a new team? Or would he rather get it now, tell the teams that are going to pay him, and just be able to be back on the court for them once the season starts? So I don't necessarily know if this timing of the surgery matters, but from the report we had from Bullpet on our last pod saying the Celtics and him the Celtics want him and Jaylen Brown back, to everything going on, it's hard for me to think the Celtics won't bring Grant back, especially considering, like, realistically speaking, he's kind of their only wing depth outside of Sam Hauser. It's kind of Tatum, Jaylen Brown on the wing, and then you have the guards who can play up, but then outside of Sam Hauser, Grant is their wing, and he's also their backup
Gallinari
big.
Will play.
Sure, Gallinari too, but like he's also their really only backup big. Like they have Horford and Rob, and if Rob comes off the bench, that works too. But if you start those two, you don't really have a great backup center on the roster. Grant plays a lot of roles for the Celtics team, and it's clear based on Jaylen and Jason going to Joe saying play him more that the team likes him. So like I feel like bringing him back is a lot more important than a lot of people are giving it credit, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It definitely makes sense. But yeah, the signs point to Grant's back. So you can be relieved, you can be happy, and
I'm happy.
Not worry about
I'm happy.
Him going to another team being good.
What if Grant
just got his hand surgery, left wrist, whatever it may have been.
Yep.
But I will say Brad Stevens had an interview with Forsberg last week, and I guess the whole team had screening done on little achy, injured parts of themselves to see who would need surgery, and I guess Grant might have been the only one.
I'm surprised Derek didn't need surgery after he hurt his what was it, his ankle or something in Game 7. He went off the court. He talked about potentially needing something done, but good if he doesn't.
I don't know.
That's
Maybe
good.
they just haven't announced him yet. There could be
We'll
more
see.
to come.
We'll see. But for now, Grant will be fine by training camp, and that's really what matters. So good for him for getting that taken care of. But the next little piece of news we do have to relay to everybody: the Phoenix Suns are interested in Payton Pritchard, who, as we've known from previous reports we've talked about on the show, wants to be traded, expects to be traded. Basically, Pritchard will not be in a Celtics uniform next year. Just get that through your minds. Probably not going to have Pritchard. The report comes from, I believe, Jake Fisher, friend of the show. Just still amazing that I get to say that. Super funny. But reading this big blurb, he's talking about potential guards and people that could be of interest to the Suns. So I'm going to read this quick. While Terry Rozier has been often rumored as Suns target, seemingly since Phoenix registered interest in the combo guard when he reached 2019 free agency, the Suns front office, led by President and GM James Jones, has not recently pursued Rozier from Charlotte, sources said. Phoenix does hold Knicks Six-Man of the Year finalist Emmanuel Quickley in high regard, sources told Yahoo Sports, dating back to Quickley's entry in the 2020 draft. Payton Pritchard, the former first-round pick who fell out of Boston's rotation, has several supporters in Phoenix front office, sources said, and is expected to feature prominently in the NBA's general trade landscape this summer when Pritchard becomes extension eligible. King also mentions Kings Davion Mitchell, as well as Monte Morris and Gabe Vincent as potential Suns targets. But Pritchard getting a pretty big chunk of that blurb. Also, the piece saying he's going to be a pretty big piece in the trade market this summer. I still stand on the ground that I don't think he garners much back in a trade. But if the Suns are interested in him, maybe you get a couple seconds. Maybe, like, realistically speaking, you're not Aiton. Yeah, okay, buddy. But realistically speaking, unless it is a massive like blockbuster trade that like completely changes the outlook of the Celtics lineup, if the Suns do go after Pritchard, it would be a Landry Shamet deal, which the Celtics just don't want because they don't have enough. They don't have the salary capacity to take on another contract that long.
They literally might not be allowed to do that.
Eventually, yeah, it's just too big of a contract. Or second round picks because the Suns don't have any first to trade at this point, I believe, unless they trade you a 2030 first. And I don't think Pritchard's going to get you a first round pick, especially that deep out that could potentially be that valuable. But the Suns registering interest is interesting at the very least, no pun intended. However, there could be some teams around the league interested in Pritchard per Jake Fisher. Again, friend of the show. Just have to say it because it's funny.
Yeah, there's been no secret that Pritchard could be a player that garners interest around the league. There's an article up here from Ness, and I guess we can go through it. Why not? And if you don't want to, we don't want to.
No, run it. Let's see what's happening.
But this is June 7th from Adam London. Celtics rumors these teams could be interested in Payton Pritchard trade. Now, this is probably this is actually off of Heavy. The sourcing. Utah is the team that would stand out just because
from Steve
Danny
Bulpett
loves him.
or Devaney? Is this Bulpett or Devaney? Okay, Devaney, gotcha.
That would probably take Danilo Gallinari's deal to make it work because the Celtics would probably take back Kelly Olynyk. So this is something we've already talked about. We both kind of enjoy the prospect of this. I think it makes sense. You already mentioned earlier, Jack, that there's no real backup big besides Grant Williams on the Celtics roster. At least it's getting rotation minutes. I mean, Cornette's fine for regular season minutes.
Cornette's really fine.
Was fine.
Blake's fine. Muscala's fine, but none are like quality, like actual rotation big, if that makes sense.
Yes. Kelly Olynyk could fit the system, provide some floor spacing. He's played here before, had a cool Game 7. Could have used him. I made the joke last time too. But the Jazz are definitely on the lookout for a young point guard. He'd be on their list. Portland is another one, especially if they make a move on Damian Lillard. A good shooter who can organize the team would be the right fit there. So Pritchard could also go home. The insider, gets that information.
That's interesting. I assume that would have to be like second round picks for Pritchard at that point, but I guess sure, it makes sense. Hometown guy going back there, like you said. They probably could use some shooting off the bench if they're looking to compete. If they trade Simons, especially, then they could use an extra guard in the rotation. It makes sense. I think the Jazz one is probably the biggest eyes emoji for me. Kelly Olynyk deal, or just a late first round pick for Pritchard. I think it makes sense for both sides. So it'll be interesting. The Suns registering interest makes sense too, because I think they just need depth at any position at this point. But the Pritchard trade saga should be one of the more intriguing Celtics storylines this summer, I think. At least the only guaranteed one, right? Because maybe you get a Brogdon trade, maybe you get trades with other big players, maybe the draft picks, they move up into the first round, maybe. But like the Pritchard thing is the one thing Celtics fans can count on to see. Okay, we're gonna probably see a trade at least in that regard this summer. So eyes emoji for that, I guess.
Something we've been anticipating since November.
Yeah, it just feels like it has to happen. I thought it could happen at the deadline, but alas. Alrighty.
That's it.
Next
That's
thing,
the only two teams that were mentioned.
Yeah.
Utah, Portland.
And then
now
the Suns
Phoenix
also
on the
too.
list.
Yeah, there you go. Add 'em in. All right. Next thing we have on the agenda, Damian Lillard. We talked Dame last time. We talked about how he said, Bam Adebayo is his dog, Mikal Bridges is his dog. He could go Miami, Brooklyn. Those both make sense to him. Boston and New York, the Knicks, were also mentioned as other teams potentially. Since then, Chris Haynes talked about Damian Lillard doesn't want to go to Boston. And Damian Lillard backed it up on his live stream. He said people called him out a lot saying like, oh, what is this about? And he said, I talked to Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes is my boy. Like I talked to him and he's just relaying the information of conversations that we've had in the past. Never, I don't want to misquote him, so I'm just going to generalize a little bit. He said, effectively, I've never considered Boston at any point in my career, coming out of the draft, any points in trade talks, etc., or like when I could have been traded. It's just not a place that I really wanted to go, which, fair enough. And then he was on a live stream on Instagram when he said this, and Jason Tatum chimed in and said, we get it. You don't like Boston, with laughing emojis. And Dame goes, you got my boy JT offended now. Obviously joking. It made headlines in the sense that like, I feel like a lot of Celtics fans get very protective of the Celtics, which fair enough. That's what fans do.
Me too.
But yeah, but like, I don't think there was any harm in what Dame was saying. I just think he's like, yeah, I just never really was interested in that particularly. Which
he didn't take any shots at the Celtics or anything. Didn't say anything crazy.
Just doesn't want to play here. Sure.
Big question mark now. Is he going to get booed out of the building next time he visits, whether it's with Portland or Brooklyn or Miami, which it's probably going to be Miami?
Well, my question is, do you think this... I don't know how much more blown up this like Damian Lillard Celtics arc thing will go, right? Because, yeah, I agree. One of the bigger things you see is like, oh, Jalen for Dame. But first of all, I don't like that for the Celtics, right? Because you get older. And second of all, I think the purpose of the Blazers trading for Jalen would be to pair him with Dame. So what's the point of like getting Jalen if you're trading? I don't think that makes sense. You've seen things like, oh, would you do? The best the Celtics could offer outside of that would be like Smart, Rob Williams, Payton Pritchard, and at that point the place just like nah. And Dame doesn't want to be here anyways, and so it just doesn't make sense. I think it's like interesting the comments he made. It made for a good news story. We're going to title this podcast this because like a lot of people seem to care about it, but I don't really get why people care about it as much as it's like blown.
I only care because I feel like it's a slight, even though it's not a slight. I just don't like when players say that. Like I still haven't gotten over Anthony Davis's dad opening his dumb mouth saying that he doesn't want his kid playing on the Celtics. Like I don't like when that is said. I don't like it. Lillard didn't trash him. He didn't say anything crazy. He didn't drag. I feel like it was didn't do anything. The
most mild mannered way of saying I don't want to play there ever. Like he's just like, yeah, no,
yes,
I'm all right. I will say it was cool and like it was funny to see Jason Tatum pop in saying, "Damn."
Just good for like, Tatum. He went to war for the city.
Look at him go. Yeah,
he truly defended Boston's honor.
Went for war. It boils down to an Instagram live comment. That's hilarious. That's where we're at.
He showed up.
Look at it. Yeah. Showed up, defended it. Look at him go.
I am curious though. That's the new number one storyline into 2023, 2024. Will they boo the hell out of Damian Lillard at the Garden? Will my internet hold up? It does.
I will give you, if we're doing betting odds, I'll give you yes at plus 200. I don't think so. I don't think.
Oh, I would hammer that. I think it's even. Closer to even, favored, yes.
My thing is,
because you said it yourself.
Well,
People
let
are
me
pissed about
rephrase.
this.
Let me rephrase. I think plus 200 if he's in Portland. I'll give you minus 110 if he's in Miami. And the reason
Okay.
is I think generally Dame is probably one of the more well-liked players in the NBA. Generally. Outside of this, like just in
Agree.
general, he's
No,
one of
I
one of
agree.
and I think right now, the reason this is such a big story is because there's literally nothing else to talk about. And so by the time the season comes around, I feel like only a few people will remember it. Like to get booed at the Garden, I feel like you have to be very disliked by the casual Celtics fans as well. And I don't think this is getting out of like deep rooted Celtics NBA fandom. I like the the Patriots fan showing up to the Blazers game on February 28th isn't going to remember this, right?
It
Like
would have been
that's not going to happen.
fantastic if you said like February 30th.
I was really close to slipping.
Yeah, I
but-
was like, he might say a day that doesn't exist.
No, but do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like not enough people will remember this by the time the Blazers eventually come to Boston next year for the one time they come.
You're probably right. I'll make sure I bring it up on the pregame. Whatever day it may be, February 30th, 31st. We'll be there 30 minutes
you
before
remember.
the game.
If you remember.
You think I forget things like this?
I'll give you
I'm Ryan from The Office writing on the notepad,
good meme.
making a note of it.
Good
because
meme. Good meme.
I don't tolerate disrespect. I am a defend the wall fan. I don't like when players trash the team. I don't like when they say they don't want to play here. Again, Anthony Davis and his stupid dad have been in the crosshairs for 4 years now.
It's true.
They can rock.
I just think it's so mild mannered. Like I don't think he meant anything bad by it.
Oh, I agree, but still.
And I like Dame. I like Dame.
And I also don't like that he made Chris Haynes right. Because I really enjoy when Chris Haynes isn't right. And for a half second, because I sent it to you and I was like, oh my God, Chris Haynes was wrong again. Because the first listen on that, I was like, oh, he's like kind of downplaying the Boston thing. Like he's saying, no, not really. But then, yeah, you're kind of right. Like he just was like, whatever. Yeah. Like he didn't do it in a weird way.
Who do you dislike more, Chris Haynes or Brian Anderson?
Brian Anderson. I think Chris Haynes is kind of funny. Like I just think it's funny that he's like the majority of the time he's reporting something, it's just after the other two.
Well, I think what I told you is true. I think Shams has the agents on lock. I think Woj has the teams, and I think Chris Haynes has the players.
I think Chris Haynes has a select group of players, Lillard included, that he's just tight with, and he gets his info from those guys.
Gotcha. But, I mean, the bottom line of the story is Damian Lillard does not want to play for the Celtics. Like that, that's just what it is. And that's fine. Good for him. It is what it is.
Don't want him either.
I have often been saying, and this is why I generally don't care. If I wasn't a Celtics fan and I had to choose a team, I'd be a Blazers fan. And that's just because I think Dame is awesome. And I know you respect Dame because he doesn't really like he has just stuck with his one team. And
90% of NBA players would have been like, trade me by now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he said recently, I think I saw this, if the Heat win the finals, he doesn't want to go there. Which I know you like. I know you're a fan.
Respect. Well, he probably won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But yeah, Dame. Do you think Dame gets traded this summer? What's the line? Give me a betting line on Dame getting traded this summer.
I don't know. The reason why it's such an I don't know is because they really have the option to go either way.
Yes.
I say no because all the reports say that they lean towards trying to build around him.
If you were the GM, would you trade Dame?
Yes.
I would have traded him yesterday. Like just gone. Like as soon as
if I'm a GM, I'm not really sure I'm trading for Dame. At the same time, like that's a big contract for a point guard that's on the smaller side, and he's
I think in the right team it would work. Like I think the Knicks would work. I think the Knicks would be a legitimate threat if they get Damian Lillard. I think the Heat, obviously, if they lose, they would be a great team. I think the Nets would be a playoff team. You know what I'm saying? Like for the right team, and it has been said that he wants to go in the East, basically. So I know get ready for that. I know you're not a fan.
I hope they don't trade him.
But the Dame saga is interesting as it has been for the past X amount of years. Do you respect? You trash Bradley Beal a lot, but he's basically just Dame East, but worse, right? No.
Well, the worst part is why he's getting trashed.
I know, but like in the sense that he's stuck with Washington.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. He's stuck with Washington, but like at this point, he's kind of hurting them.
Well, yeah, but that's not his fault.
It's not. I mean,
Would you say no to $60 million if you're Brad?
no. But like at the same time, they just like have no choice but to pay these guys because they're mid-market.
Yeah. I'm just saying. They're basically the same. All right. Last Celtics thing we are going to talk about today is something we've come up ourselves. This isn't like a reporting. This isn't a news thing. But
Well, it's not necessarily something we came up. Well, go ahead.
You texted me about it. Is my
no?
point.
You texted me about it.
About Al Horford?
You sent me the trade thing.
Oh, yes. I sent you. So there's a trade on Twitter that I sent to Sam because I thought it was at least like eyebrow raiser, right? I'm not saying it should be done. I'm not saying the Celtics should do it, but it was like a fan concocted trade, and I forget who made it. So I
Trade machine season.
Yes.
It's funny. I had somebody else send me that like minutes later.
Yeah, it was basically Al Horford, Malcolm Brogdon, Payton Pritchard for Karl-Anthony Towns and Kyle Anderson. Not enough for Cat, first of all. There'd have to be draft assets, etc. And I responded to Sam with like, I'd probably say the Celtics would have to give up Rob instead of Al. And you texted me back saying, I don't think enough people are talking enough about moving Al. And I pushed back a little bit in a sense that like, I don't know if how much that makes sense for other teams. But I do think, I guess it is worth a discussion to talk about should the Celtics consider trading Al while his value is probably at the highest it'll ever be for the rest of his career. Right?
It's probably the highest. It's not getting any higher.
That's what I meant.
It's not going up.
Yeah.
I love Al Horford. It's one of my guys. And I did mention this in the text. I was like, I really think he deserves to retire a Celtic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there were times I truly felt like he was unplayable in the playoffs. I was like, why is he on the floor? He's hurting them defensively, and there were times where he was helping them defensively against Embiid. He killed Embiid again. Shocker. But he really didn't shoot the three at a high clip in the playoffs. Is that because it was a fluke? Is that because his legs were tired? Is that because he was fatigued from the season? Is that because he was fatigued from guarding a guy like Embiid? He never really got back to it after that Philly series, and they could have used him against Miami. The conclusion really is, how impactful is he going to be going forward? Okay, so we're at the point where, again, I felt at some points he was unplayable, but he's not getting any younger. He's not going to get better. This may be as good a time as any to trade him. Mind you, his contract is not terrible. He signed a 2-year extension for $10 million a pop each year, which is good. Good for the Celtics. They locked him down. Another factor in this, if they were to move him, unless it was in the deal we were talking about, but that's a crazy deal and probably isn't happening.
Yes.
What are they going to do with their big guys? Just play Rob 48 minutes?
Yeah, right? Clearly. I mean, I came back at you with, I think it makes more sense to trade Rob. Half because I think he obviously has better value, but also because as much as he's awesome and he's great when he's on the court, and it was just last year we're talking about, he's third all-star potential. He just can't stay healthy. like even in Game 7, he's throwing up. Like he's just as the worst. He's like Gordon Hayward at the center position.
Well, that's a freak thing. You can't get mad at him for getting like food poisoning.
I know, but like it's uncanny at this point, right? Like the freak things, the non-freak things, like he just can't stay consistently on the court. And even when he was on the court this year, I know he was recovering from surgeries, et cetera, so that impacted it, but he just wasn't the same as he was when he was healthy. And you have to question whether or not he will ever reach what his ceiling seems to be if he continues to have these knee problems and these constant injuries and has to play, 50 games a season. And at that point, can you have him as the full-time starting center? Because the reason he was so great in that 21-22 finals run is because he was consistently the starting lineup. He built a chemistry. Him and Horford grew together. This past year, as much as you want to blame Mazzulla for, White was a starter, like when Rob first came back from his knee injury, he just he didn't have it, right? You think back to those Magic games where he was just like meh. And I'm not saying he wasn't like good at times towards the end of the season, but it wasn't consistently the level you want to see from a guy who should be in the starting lineup. And it made it easier considering how great White was to start him over Rob. But that's the reason I bring that up. But in terms of Horford, like you said, you question what you would get back. And I go back to the thought process that I think he's more valuable to the Celtics than he is to any team that would trade for him meaning the Celtics wouldn't get back good enough value for Horford in any trade. I do think the one exception might be that Timberwolves deal at that point, but realistically speaking, like, would you rather have Horford for that salary or Towns for his salary on this team? Do you know what I'm saying?
Probably
And that's
Towns.
crazy. Okay, how much does Towns make?
In the 40s?
Let's take a look. Karl-Anthony Towns will make 33 million this year, 36 next year, then 49, 53, 57, 61.
Maybe not. Oh, it's terrible.
He hit the Booker extension. He is I believe, let me fact check myself here. I think he has the third most guaranteed money of any player in the NBA right now.
I will say this, though. The Celtics are one of those teams, or maybe the team, that this new CBA doesn't really affect, even though they're going to go over the limit, because they have so many guys locked up for the near future. Like,
Sure.
They don't have a lot of guys that are hitting free agency that they have to find a way to retain. So if they do bring in Towns, like, let's say they extend Jaylen Brown, and then they make the trade. Say some trade happens later in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they can still extend Tatum. They have bird rights on him, I think. I'm not positive. I think
they
that's how
can.
it's going
It would
to work.
just they would things such as they wouldn't be able to use the MLE. They wouldn't be able to make
Yes.
trades with certain things.
But I
They
think
wouldn't
that might
able
be
to
the
trade
case anyway.
Maybe. And at that point, like, I do think the Timberwolves would probably rather have Rob in a deal. So I think they would probably want like a Brogdon, Rob, Pritchard, and or whatever else you throw at them for Towns. And you'd have to give up almost all of your draft assets too, like all the picks, which is fine. Like maybe you do that and then you can roll out. What would it be? It'd be Smart, Jalen, Tatum, Horford, Cat with Derek White, Grant, and whatever else off the bench like that. I mean, obviously that's a great lineup, but something to
I think
about.
Towns is as good as anybody to replace Horford from a basketball standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, not the leadership. Make no mistake. Like,
That's the other thing.
And that is an important thing. And you mentioned that, and it's very true. And it's part of the reason they extended Horford and they want him to. Everybody
Horford.
seems to want him to retire here. And me too. Like, I do. But I just don't think when we're talking about trades and we're like, trade Brogdon, trade Jaylen Brown, I mean, you have to at least mention Horford. You have to be like, he wasn't great in the playoffs. He wasn't,
I will say,
amazing. He wasn't the guy he was last year.
Almost every single player, though, said like Al Horford is the leader. He is the leader of this team, which is like the big part. And I will say, as much as it sucked to watch his shooting performance dip in the playoffs, like I think that was nothing more than an ill-timed slump. And sometimes that's all that matters when it counts for a trade. But like realistically speaking, he just kind of flip-flopped from his first season, right? Like you think of his first season back in Boston, it was crappy three-point shooting, regular season, elite in the postseason. This year was an elite regular season and a crappy postseason, which you'd rather the first one every single time.
Maybe a little bit.
It's unfortunate. But I have a list of other teams that could potentially want Horford. This isn't teams I think could have packages the Celtics would want. These are just teams I think, might generate an interest in Horford based on their teams. I think the Mavericks would probably be interested in Horford.
I'm
they don't really have a center.
Al Horford would like more than to play with Kyrie again.
Yeah. But the issue there is there's not really much you'd want back if you're the Celtics. Like the best you could probably get is a Reggie Bullock or a Tim Hardaway Jr. And at that point it's like no shot. Like there would be no interest there from the Celtics side. Unless you made a package of like Brogdon and Horford for like Tim Hardaway Jr., another, contract in the 10th pick, right? And they were willing to give up the 10th pick in that deal. And at that point, maybe you look at it as a cost control deal for the Celtics. But even that, you might just rather have Horford's leadership anyways, considering Hardaway Jr.'s contract. Although that might be up next year anyway, so that could actually help them get off the books. The Hawks. Would the Hawks want him back? They have Capella, but would they look to retool a little bit, get a floor spacing center instead of Clint Capella, change up their thing a little bit? They do need to save some money. The Hawks are one of those teams like similar to the Celtics, except just not as good. Like they have one of the biggest payrolls in the NBA right now. They have a lot of money there. Maybe they say, hey, give us Horford and Pritchard or something, and we'll give you back John Collins. But I think the Celtics would need to get closer in terms of salary. There would need to be some finagling there, but I think they could be interesting. The Trailblazers, as they look to build around Dame. But again, there's not much the Celtics could get back in that deal. It would just be like picks and Justice Winslow. It's like one of their only salaried players. And then the last one I had was the Rockets. If they get James Harden, they could be looking to add contending pieces. But again, like, what are you getting back? Are you getting Jayshawn Tate? Are you getting like a late first round pick? Right? Like maybe you get like the 24th pick, or like I think they have a pick in the teens as well. So like, would you do Horford for 1 sec as I look here to see what picks the Houston Rockets have? Would you do Horford and whatever for like pick 20 and pick, like a future second? Like that's the best they could offer you. And at that point, again, you keep Horford. So, but do you know what I'm saying though? Those are some teams that could be interested in Horford if he does hit the block. But
yeah, you're
for what it's
probably
worth,
not going to get a lot for Horford
return.
as the sole trade chip.
I forgot to mention the Suns. DeAndre Ayton. Like,
maybe you
not
entertain that if they want to do it. I don't think they're doing that.
Well, would you wait like Ayton and picks for like Horford and Brogdon? You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
I don't know if you'd want.
Tough.
I don't know if you'd want Ayton's personality in Phoenix.
I was just about to say you have a leader going out and a big baby coming in. From everything we've heard.
Oh, what would you call him?
Big baby.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah.
I just don't know. You may be right. Like there is no way for the Celtics to really get true value back for Al Horford, but at the same time, if the right deal is there, maybe you do it. But none of the deals we've talked about are the right deal.
Yeah. I mean, the issue is the salary's not there anymore. Like last year with the 20 mil, maybe you say, hey, 1 year Marcus Morris, shed the salary a little bit. You get a wing instead, and that's there. But like at this point, there's just not much coming back for 10 mil that's even close to worth Al Horford. And so I think that's where you kind of, and like Kyle Anderson, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there's just not much out there that you say, okay, look, we can give up Al, the leader in the locker room, for a different player. So I don't know. Like I said, I think Rob would be more likely, but down the line, we'll discuss Rob trades, Malcolm trades, et cetera, et cetera. We'll get to it. We got a long off season ahead, folks. Also, this is dropping on Sunday. And so if there's any news on Saturday, we're recording this Friday night, we're going to be very upset if there's news on Saturday. Maybe we'll do a little 2-minute video or something. I'll throw it together, but I will be away this weekend. So, I think that's all we had for Celtics, right? Am I crazy? Is that all the Celtics?
Yeah, that was it. Nothing really new.
In that case, let's get into NBA. I'll switch the banner here. Sam knows
actually,
how much
I do believe Mannix put out that the Celtics were one of the teams interested in Chris Paul, but that's not a major thing. We already talked about Chris Paul.
Interesting. I didn't
find
see that.
it. I'll send it to you.
I believe you. I'll do a little quick Google here. We did talk about Chris Paul. We've done plenty of Chris Paul content.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics, Heat, and Grizzlies could pursue Chris Paul.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. We talked about it. I just don't know who he would play over. I think that's about it. But
my main take from that is it allows you to be more flexible and screw around with the guards.
In trade Brogdon.
Yeah, I mean, it opens the door for it. As much as like you like it, and it's like fun to joke about. Like it's true. Like if you get another guard that's serviceable and can be a part of the rotation, yeah, you can trade one of the other and see what you can get. Maybe a wing.
Yeah,
but besides that, it's not super exciting. There's nothing new aside from
cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on to NBA stuff. Let me switch this here. NBA Finals, Game 4 wrapped up as we started this recording, and the Nuggets are up 3-1 on the Miami Heat. I know Sam is very frustrated because Miami's role players aren't exactly living up to the level of play they had in the Celtics series. I just think the Nuggets are just good. Like as much as the Heat aren't playing as well as they were against the Celtics, I just think the Nuggets are the best team in the NBA and they're playing like it. And as much as it sucks to see Caleb Martin not shooting as well, Max Strus not shooting well, Duncan Robinson not playing well, Gabe Vincent, et cetera, like I genuinely think just the Nuggets are defending them better and they're just the better team by a pretty large margin. And to be honest, we can talk about this too. I think the Nuggets would have beaten the Celtics too. So I just think they're better.
I mean, it is frustrating. I was watching the third quarter of this game, and there was a stretch where I was like, I really can't believe the Celtics lost to these guys. It was just brick after turnover after terrible decision. Miami looks like a completely different team right now. That has to be something to do with Denver. Like you say, they are a very good team. Another big difference between Denver and the Celtics is they don't turn the ball over a zillion times.
It is true.
And they don't absolutely hate winning.
Yes.
Denver was up, 13 going in the fourth, and Miami cut it to 6. And then Denver said that's enough of that.
Shut them down. Shut them down.
The crazy part is the Celtics could do that.
This game wasn't even Jokic and Murray. Like Murray played bad. 5 of 17.
29, 30.
Yep. 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists.
Aaron Gordon scored 27 points on my team.
Bruce Brown off the bench, 21 points, 8 of 11, 3 of 5. Just a good game from a bunch of
Bruce Brown, guy I was right about. I was like, Celtics should get this guy. They didn't, and now he's nasty.
He's good player. Did you see what
happened? You think he would have been a good fit on the Celtics? Like seriously, you think he would have been able to play like this?
Absolutely. He would have been a phenomenal fit on the Celtics. And my thing is, have you seen all the discourse around Bruce Brown? Like people have asked him like, hey, how did this happen? He was like, literally nobody reached out to me.
Yeah, nobody asked me to play for their team.
Which is
like,
crazy.
What? Nobody asked that guy to play for their team. He was a real impact player when he was on the Nets team.
Mm-hmm. He's gonna get a lot. Well, the thing he was saying, he's like, nobody knew how to use me the right way. Like nobody had like the right idea of like how to use me, and so they just didn't want to bring me on.
But board. he was actually impactful for the Nets.
I know.
Like, go look.
I know he was.
Just pay attention. We saw them play the Nets 4 times in the playoffs last year, and every time I was like, wow, like this guy Bruce Brown is really good.
He's gonna get a lot of money this summer. He's gonna get a lot of money this summer. I think he gets 15 mil. Like he's gonna get paid. No, but big payday for him incoming. Okay, buddy. Gabe Vincent 1 of 6, 0 of 4, 2 points. Max Strus 0 of 4, 0 of 3, 0 points. Caleb Martin 5 of 12, 15? 11 points.
Oh no, 11.
Brutal. I mean, Duncan Robinson played all right. He was solid. Jimmy Butler was fine. 25 points, 9 of 17. Bam was 8 of 19 mid game, but I mean, Jokic also had a mid game, so it's not like Jokic killed him. Bam 7 turnovers though. Did his best Jaylen Brown impression.
Beijing Bam.
Yeah, there you go. Kevin Love. I mean, Kevin Love giving you 3 threes and you lose the game. That's tough. And not that that's like the end all be all, but like if you get something from Kevin Love, you better make it count at this point. Yeah, just brutal night. Kyle Lowry played 32-46 for him. Like that's when you know you're having a struggle bus getting impact players in there. Gabe Vincent minus 21, Bam Adebayo minus 18. The Nuggets are just better. They're just a better team, and I don't think the Celtics would have beaten this Nuggets team. Not because they don't match up well, just because. And I'm gonna write about this for Celtics blog. I think on paper the Celtics match up very well against the Nuggets, and historically they have too. But the consistency and the lack of mistake making from the Nuggets, like I just think they would have. Have you seen the I don't know what it's called. Like if you hit yourself with the spoon like a bunch of times in the same spot, you'll eventually break your arm. Have you seen that before? like
no.
Do you know what I mean though? Like one tap of a spoon isn't enough to like hurt you, but if you hit the same exact spot with the spoon or whatever like soft object like a bunch of times in a row, like you'll eventually get worn out. Like there was a video of Mr. Beast. You know Mr. Beast, right? The YouTuber?
Yeah.
He had a bodybuilder lift a 5-pound weight, and for every rep he did, he gave him $1, right? And he did like 10,000 or something. Like he did a ton of reps. Eventually, he was like struggling to lift up the 1-pound weight. The consistency of the Nuggets and their like the lack of mistakes, I think would have just worn out the Celtics, who consistently get in their own way. Like the Nuggets would have just played great basketball the whole time and let the Celtics beat themselves, sort of like the Heat did.
Yeah. Who am I to talk hypothetical?
The Celtics team broke you.
You want to talk hypothetical? What if Caleb Martin played like Caleb Martin?
If only.
Celtics win what? 5 games? 6?
Well, maybe. There's a discussion. But any more thoughts on Heat Nuggets game 4 in general?
It's over.
They're done. Heat are done.
Big fat Larry O'Brien trophy going to be in Denver on what's today?
Honestly-
Friday, Sunday. They'll play Sunday.
Fine by me, honestly. It's all right. If
I'm
not
just
the
so
Celtics,
indifferent. Like I was talking to my dad about it, and he was like, "Well, like I kind of want Denver to win. They've never won before, and that's true. But like they're also like the favorite. But Miami's like a shitty underdog to root for because like they beat the Celtics, and also they have Hero and Lowry on that team, and I don't want those guys.
I'll
winning.
ask you this: if you had looked at the NBA playoffs in its entirety, every single team, and you had to pick a team that could have realistically won, obviously you wouldn't have thought the Heat at the time. Like outside of the Celtics, if there is a team you could look at and say, "Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they won," Denver would be it, in my opinion.
I would have said, well, I don't think Sacramento could have actually won. That would have been my top choice. I would have rooted for the Kings.
That's fine. Yeah,
In the East,
not the Bucks. Don't
Milwaukee's
really care for
fans are
them.
too irritating. Philly, obviously not.
Yep.
Cleveland,
Cavs,
maybe.
but like
They've lost all my respect. Of course, not the
Mhm.
Knicks. Hell no.
I know you
Brooklyn
like the
was never going
Warriors,
to
but
compete with anybody.
I wouldn't want to see the Warriors win again. That's lame.
I mean, it's not fun, but I still like them. Like, I think they have a lot of good personalities, and
I just think the idea of
respect 'em.
Jokic winning a title is fun. Like I like Jokic. I think he's cool. I think he's funny. I like his horses. I think he's a funny dude. Like him winning a title is hilarious and amazing.
I might have
love
rooted for Phoenix. I like KD. I'm a KD guy.
it. I don't know. That's boring. I think Nuggets are the most fun. Like I said, I think they're the most slept on one seed in a long time.
Except
Especially because
Miami.
they
Literally
Yeah, I
last year.
guess. I know, but just the way it came in, like in
It's
terms
true.
of teams,
No,
that could've come out
you're
of the
right.
East.
There's a truth to
Especially
it where
'cause
everybody
they
was
struggled.
picking Phoenix.
And the Nuggets struggled towards the end of the season too. So like a lot of teams were like, "Oh, they're done. This is a fluke season, regular season team." They feel, you know what they feel like? It's obviously very different because they have Jokic, like 2-time MVP. The Nuggets feel like the Jazz in the sense that everyone was just looking at them as this great regular season team, but not a playoff team. And then they just kind of like breezed through the playoffs, like not really giving a crap.
I was
Like, they
one
were
of
just
them.
like,
I was
"Yeah."
like, yep, they
See you
haven't done
later.
anything yet. Impressed me.
And have they?
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, Jokic is going to be an NBA champion. That's wild. That's crazy to think about. Good for him.
It's better than that disgraced Tyler Hero.
Sure. There you go. Maybe do they bring Tyler Hero out now? Back against the wall. Does
No.
Tyler Hero play? No.
What's the point?
I don't know. If there was any team to come back from 3-1, it'd be the Heat. Put it that way. I'm not saying they will, but
Maybe if the Celtics were down 3-1, they would have came back.
well, they all
They won 3 straight.
I guess. All right. Enough of the finals. Karl-Anthony Towns in the news. We briefly talked about Karl-Anthony Towns when we were discussing Al Horford. And a big reason that came about was because Karl-Anthony Towns might get traded. From Eric Pincus of Bleacher Report. The team won't be able to afford that. Referencing, I don't exactly know what he's referencing. Referencing Anthony Edwards' extension and Jaden McDaniels' extensions. He said the team won't be able to afford that with Karl-Anthony Towns and Gobert combining for over $90 million in 24-25. Dealing Gobert will not return to anything close to what the Timberwolves paid to Utah. Duh. He didn't say duh. I added that just for reference. Other competing executives think Karl-Anthony Towns will be long gone ahead of the 24-25 season. Some even believe Minnesota would jump at an opportunity in the next few weeks. The team's most significant need is a point guard to replace Mike Conley, who is very good for the team after the deadline deal. Also
Pritchard.
Jazz, but will be 36 before the start of the season. Brogdon, Malcolm.
Yeah.
See you later. Go be a non-passer over there. See, go that way. My hate for Brogdon's getting too much, but I will continue.
Yep.
But very interesting. The cat trades. I think that would just add another element to the offseason. It makes sense. It sucks that they have to trade him, but realistically, like, obviously they paid too much for Gobert, right? Like, obvious. That was a terrible trade.
Yeah, we all knew.
Do you think the team would be better with? I'm not saying Gobert is a great player, but he's still a good defender. Like, he's not worth his contract. He's like Tobias Harris now, except worse because of the context of the trade. I still think Rudy Gobert can be an impactful player in the right situation. And so
He's a role player.
sure, but he's a fine role player. He's a great defender. He's still like like one of the best rim protectors in the league. And so my point is, is the team better with Anthony Edwards role players and Cat at the center, or Anthony Edwards, the package they get for Cat, and then Gobert at the center? And I think the obvious answer is the latter because of the value you can get back for Cat. And I know you've talked about this a lot too. Like, what's the ceiling of that team with Cat anyways? Because like as cool as Cat is and as good as he can be in the right situation, he's not a 1A. He's just not. Is he
He's
even
just
a
whatever.
1B? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a fine player, but like
the only reason why I
don't know.
think him to the Celtics is half exciting, and now that I know the money, it's not really that exciting, is because he could be a Horford successor, and
Okay.
that's it.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, can shoot the three very well, can somewhat defend. He's not going to stop Embiid. I don't think he'll be as good a defender as Horford is.
I mean, he got beat up by Embiid a couple years ago. Remember that?
Yeah, they had like the scuffle on the floor. It was real
Ben
weird.
Simmons.
Like, it was like really weird beef.
Cat got put in a chokehold by Ben Simmons. You want that on the Celtics?
Yeah. No, never mind. He can stay up in Minnesota.
But realistically speaking, I do think there are plenty of teams that could use Cat to his most effectiveness. That's not English, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that could use him effectively.
What is his most effectiveness though? Like, what's the best Cat? Is it
I think
him trying to be Al Horford?
No, I think he can be your top scorer. I think you need a player who can take over in the playoffs, like a ball handler. Like you talked about last week. I'm not saying Cat is Jokic, but like Jokic has Jamal Murray. Giannis has Chris Middleton. You need somebody who can create their shot. Like, I'm not saying it's perfect, but New York has Jalen Brunson. He has somebody who can set up Cat, somebody who can set him up, who can take those shots, who can create in the playoffs for him. So he doesn't have to get all the stuff done in the paint, right? Even the Heat, right? I'm not saying the Heat will trade for Cat, but like, they have Jimmy Butler, right? They have other players who can be shot.
Would you rather have Cat or Bam?
Bam. I think Bam's a better player.
Okay, I'm just curious.
What do you think?
I don't really know. Cat hasn't proven enough.
I think
I also don't think Bam's that great. Like, he's definitely good on the defensive end, but he,
excuse me,
he's got this weird thing where he kind of sucks sometimes.
I just don't think he's a great offensive player for the role they ask him to play. And I think
fair.
it gets exposed more in the playoffs, because in the playoffs it's a lot of him creating for himself rather than others creating for him. And I don't think he's great at that yet. But I don't think he's bad on offense. I just don't think his game is the pull-up mid-range shot, which, like, I bet if you look at his regular season stats versus the playoffs, like, mid-range jumpers go way high because he's asked to create for himself. But like, I think those two teams could work for Cat. I don't know, like, where else would work? Would the Hawks want him? Would they put together a package to give them, like, well, they don't really have a point guard to give them, like, I know you love Drew Holiday. I'm not saying this, but like, I think if there was any big man that Cat could work next to, it would be Giannis, right? Realistically, you ask Giannis to take on more defensive responsibilities, which might not be ideal. But then in terms of floor spacing, like, Cat's that dude, could take offensive pressure off him, can space the floor well. The issue is you'd have to trade like Drew Holiday. And if you're the Bucks, I wouldn't do that.
Dallas doesn't have enough for him, do they? I don't think
so. Like, what do you do? Like, especially if the Timberwolves want a point guard, because they don't really have a point guard to give.
Yeah, I'm trying to think just like teams that could really benefit from bringing him in.
Anthony Simons in the third pick for Cat. Simons isn't really a point guard.
If I'm Minnesota, I want more.
Then the third pick in Simons?
Yeah.
Okay. What about, I know you don't love Jordan Poole, but like, in a change of scenery, I don't think Jordan Poole's as bad as people think.
Jordan Poole's on team Get Ready to Learn Chinese, buddy. He's first team. And he's also number one in the needs to get punched in the face power rankings.
Evidently so. It's tough, man. It's very tough. They're on a ton of
I don't know. I think the Celtics might be one of, if you just like put him on a team, like, yeah, Cat would be a great fit on the Celtics. He can shoot threes. He's big. Again, he could be the Horford successor.
Would you do? I know the Thunder don't necessarily need to make a trade right now, but would you give up like Giddey? Would you do Giddey?
No.
Package for Cat? Really?
No. If I'm OKC, I'm standing pat. Like, I know you just said like there's no reason to be desperate, but they really don't have a reason. Like, they have Chet. Like, Chet could essentially be Cat.
Maybe, and a better defender.
Yeah, I mean
That's true.
There's really no purpose in doing that right this second.
Well, you
for
could also
OKC.
run Chet with Cat, so you don't have to run.
I would
Chet
say
against
maybe
DiVincenzo.
Houston has more of a reason. Like if they want to go get Harden and then they
But
have
what do they
Cat
give up
there,
for him? Like, what do the Timberwolves want? Kevin Porter? Like,
probably not Kevin Porter, but you still have that 4th pick and
Mhm. Maybe that's it. Maybe like the Pelicans, right? Like, do they want
Yes.
CJ?
No. Oh God, no.
Well, there's just not much out there, I don't think.
We'll see. They said the next couple of weeks, eyeball emoji to Cat. Maybe they want to get rid of him before the draft. Maybe they're really looking at draft picks for this.
Maybe. Very possible. I don't know. There just aren't many more point guards out there, right? Would you do like Monte Morris isn't like an amazing point guard, but in terms of like a Mike Conley replacement, he wouldn't be terrible. He's a good playmaker. He was solid in that starting lineup for Washington. That starting lineup for Washington was actually pretty good when they were healthy. Would you do like, instead of rebuilding in the Wizards, maybe they're just stupid and they would like, oh, give us Cat. You know, we'll pair him with Beal. We can be a playoff team, maybe. Would you do like Monte Morris, Kyle Kuzma, and picks for Cat? Wizards picks?
If I'm Minnesota,
Yeah.
maybe with the picks,
Mm-hmm.
probably make them give you Porzingis too. A sign and trade.
I guess maybe.
What about Orlando?
Jalen Suggs.
Well, they had 6 and 11.
Fultz, Gary Harris, one of the younger guys like Okiki or Suggs, and then like one of those 2, 6 or 11. Would you do that?
Yeah. I really love the 6 and 11 package. We talked about it when we talked Dame, and I was like, wow, that would really rule for Portland. Like they essentially just get a free like restart kit. It's like when you start playing a video game, like you play Ultimate Team, and they give you like all like a starter pack.
Yeah,
that's what you get.
It's like when you trade all the players for like all the top 10 picks in the draft in 2K. Not bad.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. I like that combo. I think that's a good trade. As good of a trade you might get is Orlando for Cat.
Yeah. Cat's
Does that mean he's going to be the best he can be there? Maybe not, but there's potential.
That's the other thing. I don't know how badly like Orlando needs Cat. They already have Wendell Carter Jr. They already have Paulo. They already have Franz. Like they have a pretty stacked front court.
But, you know, if they make the deal, it makes them flexible. They can move other pieces to fill other holes, just like we talk about, or I talk about with CP3 if the Celtics were to go after him. There's like you slide Brogdon around, get something back for him, or
I know you don't
want to do.
I know you don't like these sorts of trades because these are the trades that doesn't really make either team a title contender. But these are trades that happen in the NBA because teams are just looking to be a little bit better. Chicago, right? You look at DeMar DeRozan and Alex Caruso for Karl-Anthony Towns. And then the Bulls can move on from Vucevic and trade him, sign and trade somewhere. Maybe they go get whoever they want. Maybe they sign and trade him in a Chris Paul deal. And then they roll out Chris Paul, Zach LaVine, and Karl-Anthony Towns. Now you're going to make a face at that because it's not a title team or even close, but it's the sort of team that would probably make the Bulls better as a whole, probably give them at least a little bit of a brighter future. The Timberwolves would get a point guard in Alex Caruso. They could give Anthony Edwards the ball a little bit more, and then they have a veteran in the small forward position who would probably help their offense a little bit in DeMar DeRozan. I don't hate it.
If I'm the Timberwolves, I'm like laughing in their face.
Why? Well, I
mean,
picks too, and Caruso.
Whatever.
You give him Patrick Williams too. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like, what's the market for Cat? I mean, the Knicks trade obviously is probably the best. Like RJ Barrett.
We literally don't know. Cat barely played last season.
I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what happens. I'm intrigued to see
what's next.
Where Cat goes. The Warriors and the Knicks have been linked to Chris Paul destination.
And the Celtics.
This is from Woj, the Celtics as well. But Woj said, if Chris Paul is out there as a free agent this summer, look at the two teams in LA, Clippers and Lakers, the Knicks in New York, or the Golden State Warriors. Those would all be potential destinations for Chris Paul, who would then sign a deal to much lower cost than $30 million he's guaranteed in Phoenix if he stays past the June 28th deadline. So we're really getting down to it the next 18 days or so. We'll know about Chris Paul, but Warriors and Knicks are the two new teams, at least we know about.
Yeah, we've heard two teams where their best player is a point guard, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Makes no sense. I mean, I guess he really doesn't fit with the Warriors to me. the Knicks, maybe if you
Well,
want to
I
bring him
mean-
off the bench.
I think he fits better if the Warriors, if they trade Jordan Poole as like a bench guy. You know what I'm saying?
I guess. I don't know. I don't think Chris Paul's really going to give you a lot on that team off the bench. I think
Over
Chris Paul's going
under
to be at his best if he's playing on a team where the best players are forwards and centers. I don't think he's playing alongside guards and
over
really making a
under
massive impact.
over under 3 weeks before him and Draymond get in a fist fight. Thoughts?
I don't know. He's not. I don't know if he's on the punch in the face power rankings. Chris Paul.
I mean, he punched Rondo. No,
Yeah, I'm sure he deserved it.
or Rondo punched him. One of the above. You don't remember that?
They got in a fight. Yeah, one of them. Rondo spit on him.
It's true. Yes, brutal. I understand the Knicks a little bit more because maybe they need maybe you get that extra veteran presence in there, right? Like because they have a lot of young guys off the bench. They have Quickly, they have Toppin, they have Grimes, they have McBride. You get another veteran off the bench. you play him. I mean, you could technically play him alongside Jalen Brunson. But if I'm the Knicks, I'm not taking the ball out of Brunson's hands because like Brunson played it next to Luka. But having him off the bench would be at least intriguing. I really do think he probably fits best in one of the LA teams, though, in the Clippers or the Lakers.
He doesn't fit at all the Lakers. I said it before. I'll say it again. He does not fit.
I think he fits a little
The
bit.
Clippers, maybe.
I think
It
the
makes a
Clippers
little
are probably
sense
best.
to put him next to those guys for cheap. You saw Westbrook kind of have a little bit of a resurgence in the playoffs and actually make an impact on the Clippers team. Chris Paul could do the same. It would be a homecoming. I don't think he makes any sense for the Lakers. And it's not because I don't like the Lakers. It's just because, like, how great is he going to be playing off the ball with LeBron? That's similar to the Brunson thing. Like, why do you want the ball to LeBron's hands? You really shouldn't. He can do it.
LeBron's
He's
not going to
so
have the
fast
ball.
and he can play off the ball, but
He's
why
not going to
would
have the
you
ball
want
at
to do
all
that?
times, right? Like LeBron's not going to have the 100% usage rate.
Yeah, he's not, but it doesn't make sense. It's the same thing with Westbrook. It's the same
It's not
thing.
the same as Westbrook.
It is the
It's not
same
the
thing.
same. They're different players. They're
They're
different
very
players.
ball dominant point guards. It's the same thing.
Chris Paul can play off the ball much better than Russell Westbrook.
I think the Clippers are by far the best bet. And
I agree.
I hope he goes to the Lakers just so I can be like, wow, Jack, you were really wrong.
Okay.
You were terribly wrong about this.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, Warriors and Knicks, though, are the new teams we've heard. But the last sort of NBA thing we have is a random one. But Josh Hart hinting at a potential
Yes.
Donte
This
DiVincenzo
is my
move to
thing.
the Knicks. Still talking about the Knicks. You brought it up. Shout out to Andrew. This will be our Knicks portion of the program. It'll probably be for 2 minutes. But Donte DiVincenzo to the Knicks, ? Another Nova guy in there. He played with Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson.
Yes,
in Nova,
he was
right?
on their
So
team.
it would make sense.
He was in an
I
interview
think
with Taylor Rooks. He was asked about a tweet he liked saying
Josh Hart, this is.
Yes.
Yes.
Saying DiVincenzo is the shooting that the Knicks need. Said he'd been talking to him the last couple days.
Eyes emoji.
He's laughing throughout all of this. Take it with a grain of salt. He
Yes.
He definitely didn't want to cross any lines and get slapped on the
Tampering.
wrist for tampering.
Mhm.
But he seemed like there was a little bit of initiative to get Donte DiVincenzo to the Knicks.
Mhm.
He sure
I don't know
could
how
fit. The Warriors are going to get priced out of bringing him back. He's not going to be on the Warriors next year.
Yeah.
They got him for the MLE last year. They literally don't have an MLE this year. I'm pretty sure with the new CBA.
Probably, yeah. I think that's
So
how it works.
he will not be back.
No.
So where's he going to go next? Maybe there.
I mean, Jalen Brunson, Donte DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. Could you start him in that lineup though? Like RJ Barrett, would you start Josh Hart at the 4? Or no, because you have Julius
Oh
Randle.
yeah. I don't know.
He'd have to be a bench guy, which is fine. He could be a bench guy. That's fine. But it would be an intriguing fit to see how they roll that out.
RJ Barrett, not very good on the road.
Evidently not. He's
No.
not exactly a great playoff player.
When he doesn't
I will
have
say-
20,000 Knicks fans trying to convince him he's a good basketball player, not very good.
Would you rather have RJ Barrett or Julius Randle in the playoffs though? That's my question.
RJ Barrett.
There you go. Bingo. They should trade Randle this summer. He's got to go.
It's
Trade Randle for
Sam,
Cat.
Would you rather watch? I have nothing.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It's midnight.
Let's clap it up for Sam. I do think a Randall for Cat trade would make some semblance of sense for both teams. I know you don't like Randall, but in the sense where he could be like definitively behind Edwards, the Timberwolves could also get maybe a Quickly and then some draft picks.
This
like
is
that. I think
painful.
that's a fine haul.
And it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's literally Karl Towns is so mid But also, there were years and years where people were convinced he was good, that none of us know what his value should actually be. So there's no in between. It's either that team's giving up too much for Karl Towns, or oh my god, the Timberwolves would laugh in their face.
Sure. Well, since we're at the Sam complains portion of the episode, let's get to the rat list. Sam, what are we thinking for the rat list today? You got something?
Yeah, rat list. My friend, so I have seen the Spider-Verse movie already.
I have not. Shocker.
And you don't ever watch movies. You're weird. I had a friend say he would like to go see the movie, and I said I would go see it again. My other friend said no, because he's going to see the movie with his dad. Now,
Okay.
unlike me, he is unwilling to see the movie twice to hang out with the fellas. Rat.
Yeah.
Doesn't
I'll give it to
actually
you.
want to hang out with his friends. Kind of rat behavior, if you ask me.
I agree with you. I'll put my sister on the rat list. I think I did this last week, but I'll do it again. I'm playing Rocket League, right? I'm playing with my buddy. We're on, and I'll rat list Bose headphones too. I love these headphones, but they do this thing not connected to my phone. Bluetooth is not like Bluetooth is just not connected. I hit the little button up here. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you see this on the phone?
You
know
turn it off.
Here?
I do that with my
but it's not
Wi-Fi
like
because it's so shit.
exactly. It's not like all the way off, but it's just you disconnect everything. So I disconnect it. However, when I get a call, I hear it in my headphones still connected, still like weirdly like whatever. And so what it does is I can't hear my computer anymore. I can't hear Discord. I can't hear the game. So all I hear is the ringing. I answer it. And when I answer it, Bose has this glitch where it also plays the YouTube video I was watching on the other tab on my computer. So I just start hearing a video again. So I have to hang up on my sister, who reason she's on the rat list, she called me for no reason. She was just making noise and laughing with her friend just to annoy me. Right?
That's terrible.
Rat list. I have to hang up, exit my game for a second, alt tab, pause my video again, and we get scored on and lose the game. Rat list, Grace. Rat list. You're on the rat list again. Brutal.
Rat list. Knicks fans with photoshops. So,
oh man,
NBA Central puts this out today. New York Knicks may still pursue a trade for Donovan Mitchell at some point. So
good for them.
You bet your ass they're going to get on Adobe Photoshop and slap some Knicks jersey on Donovan Mitchell, if I could speak English.
Of course.
And them and the Lakers lead the league in Photoshops.
Or is it the Heat? The Heat also gets in on the Photoshop game.
The Heat are all in on the we're getting every single guy. Yep.
They're a lot. And I will say, in the Heat's case, however, it's a lot of Pat Riley too. Like, I feel like Pat Riley just like puts that stuff out there. Maybe it's me. I feel like he's a lot of like, yeah, we're interested. We're interested. And he floats it out there. I just wanted to get the Heat out there as another Photoshop team because I do think they're high in the power.
It's fair. Rankings. It's very fair.
Do I have any more rat list? My dog rat list. It thundered today. Oh shoot!
Yep.
Sorry, Matt the Rat. I gotta bring Matt the Rat in. It thundered today. She is terrified of thunder, and I feel bad. She's shaking. She's sitting there terrified. She crawls under my bed, and so my bed is positioned in the corner of my room, and my desk is like. So I'll show you a visual here. So if this is my room, my bed is like top left corner of my room. And my desk is like top right corner, right? It's a longer room than it is wide. And so my desk is facing down, and then it's like bed and then desk. She slips, and my desk is just you know those tables if you're at like an outdoor party that like you put snacks on, like the foldable tables.
Yeah.
That's my desk. I don't have an actual desk. I have that. And so
Cost
she
efficient.
Slides. I stole it from my uncle.
Even more cost efficient.
Exactly. It was at a graduation party, and I put it in here, and I set it up and used it. I've had it for 3 years now. She slides in between the metal like stand, or what do you call it? The legs of the table. In between that and the first peg in my bed, and goes under my bed, all the way to the head of my bed. And there's like also stuff like storage under my bed. So she has like cornered herself in the bed. I cannot get her out. Like she needs to like, it's to the point where I cannot reach far enough to get her. She needs to make her way back out. And so a school bus drove by our house. And when they hear that, they think my mom's home. And so my other dog, Duke, started running. And Charlie, who was the one under the bed, she scrambled. Watching her get out from under the bed, she was like, please, please let me out, like clawing the floor. And it's hardwood floor, so she can't get any traction. But she got herself out. But ratless for the dog for just getting stuck. I'll find a picture on my phone, but and show you. But yeah, she was she gets rat listed for her performance today during the thunderstorm. You feel a little bad, but it was very annoying. It was very annoying.
I don't really know which one is on the rat list, but there's new beef. Dave Portnoy and Kyrie may be playing a one-on-one. They've been going back and forth on Twitter. Kyrie's been replying to him. And today, Kyrie challenged this. Well, he's not the owner anymore. They sold most of their ownership of Barstool to a one-on-one to earn his respect, similar to Dylan Brooks.
Kyrie
so
responded.
Keep your eyes on that. I'm not sure if it'll actually happen, but it sure is maybe the most interesting thing I saw on Twitter today.
Would be hilarious.
It would be very hilarious.
Would be objectively funny to see that happen. Like you said, I don't know. What are the odds? Give me odds. Yes, it happens. No, it doesn't. Hit me.
Yes, 500.
That unlikely.
I think it's
weird enough.
Shot. I don't think either side really wants to do it.
I think it's just weird enough where there's a chance. I don't know. I just think if it was gonna happen, those two would make it happen. They're just the weird, like, I don't know, man. But for those wondering, this was the scenes today. She
just wouldn't leave.
She's not happy. She's stuck all the way under there. This is like a full size bed that is all the way to the other end of where I'm at here. She is she was not happy today. But yeah, I think that's all I got for the Rattlers. So I don't know if you have anything more Rattlers, but we can wrap it up here. I have more work.
This NBA Finals needs to end.
Oh, anti-Ratlist Henry graduating. I know I Ratlisted him for going to college far away.
You have to go away.
Far away, but still, congratulations to my brother.
Yeah, he stayed away. Good job.
Good job, buddy. But thank you guys for tuning in. Can't get away without the narcolepsy joke. It's ingrained. Subscribe to How About Them Celtics. We appreciate it very much. Leave us 5-star ratings on Apple and Spotify. I did see we have a couple more ratings than the last time we checked, so we appreciate you guys for doing that.
Nice.
And if you're not going to leave 5-star, we actually have a 1-star rating on Apple. We have one star, I believe, which is not very nice. But if you are going to be mean and you don't want to leave 5 stars, just go be mean in the YouTube comments instead, like I always say. But that's it for me. I'll let Sam wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you are on the YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get all the noties when we upload a new video, which is daily right now. We're putting out content for you every single day in the summer, keeping you up to date with the NBA, keeping you up to date with us. Again, like the videos, leave comments. You can follow us on social media at How About Them C's. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is just the name of the pod. You can follow Jack at Jack Simone NBA on Twitter, and you can follow me at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.
That is bogus.